Admiral Hyunwoo had been flying through space for 40 years. He had seen alien ships that looked like giant bugs. He had fought pirates with weapons made from scrap metal. He had even witnessed entire planets being blown up by massive war. Machines. But nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared him for what floated in front of his ship right now. The thing was huge. It stretched for over a kilometer in length, which made it bigger than 3 of his battleships put together. But size wasn't what made his hands shake as he gripped the command chair. It was how wrong everything about this ship felt. "Commander Minji," he called out to his science officer, trying to keep his voice steady. "Tell me you're getting something. On those sensors." Minji was one of the smartest people he knew. She had figured out alien technology that had stumped entire research teams. She could look at any ship and tell you exactly how it worked, what it was made of, and how dangerous it was. Right now, she looked like someone had just told her that math didn't exist anymore. "Sir, this doesn't make sense," she said, staring at her screens with wide eyes. "There's no power source, nothing. My scanners are telling me this ship is completely dead." "But it's not dead," Lieutenant Jae-sung interrupted from his position at the navigation console. "Look at it. It's holding position perfectly. Not drifting, not rotating, not moving even a tiny bit. That takes power." Hyunwoo looked out the main viewing screen at the mysterious vessel. Jae-sung was right. In space, nothing stayed perfectly. Still, unless it was working hard to stay that way. Dead ships tumbled and spun. This one sat in the void like it was nailed there. "What about the hull?" he asked Minji. "That's the strangest part, sir. It's absorbing our scanner beams. Not reflecting them, not deflecting them. Absorbing them. It's like the ship is eating our signals." Minji's voice got quieter. "I've never seen anything like it. The ship looked smooth and clean, like it had just rolled out of a factory. Most alien vessels they encountered were crude, patched together with whatever materials the species could find. This one looked like someone had spent centuries perfecting every curve and angle. It was beautiful in a way that made Hyunwoo nervous. "Sir!" Jae-sung's voice cracked with surprise. "The airlock is opening." Everyone on the bridge turned to look at the tactical display. Sure enough, a section of the mysterious ship was sliding open, revealing a brightly lit corridor inside. Hyunwoo felt his stomach drop. "Did we send a docking request?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. "No, sir. We haven't sent any signals at all. We've been running silent since we detected it." Hyunwoo had encountered dozens of alien species during his career. Some were friendly, some were hostile, and some were just weird. But they all followed certain patterns. They had ships that made sense, even if the technology was different. They communicated in ways that could be understood, even if it took time to figure out. They acted like living beings with understandable motivations. This ship was acting like it could read their minds. "Commander Minji, are you detecting any life signs inside that vessel?" She worked at her console for several minutes, running every scan she could think of. "Nothing, sir. The ship appears to be completely empty, but the corridor is pressurized with a breathable atmosphere. Temperature is perfect for our species. It's like someone prepared it specifically for us." The corridor visible through the airlock looked impossibly clean. The walls were a soft white color that seemed to glow with its own light. There were no visible pipes, wires, or machinery. Everything was smooth and seamless, like the entire ship had been grown rather than built. "This is either a trap or an invitation," Hyunwoo muttered to himself. "Sir, what are your orders?" asked Minji. Hyunwoo thought about his options. They could leave and report this to Imperial Command, but the ship might disappear before reinforcements arrived. They could try to communicate, but the ship had already opened its airlock without any message from them. They could attack, but something told him their weapons would be useless against whatever technology could make a ship invisible to their sensors. "Prepare a boarding party," he finally decided. "Full environmental suits, heavy weapons, recording equipment. I want everything documented." "Sir, are you sure that's wise?" Minji asked. "We have no idea what we're dealing with." "That's exactly why we need to go aboard," Hyunwoo replied. "If this is some new threat to the Empire, we need to understand it. And if it's not—" He paused, staring at the impossibly perfect ship. "If it's not a threat, then we need to understand it even more." As his crew prepared for the boarding mission, Hyunwoo couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to discover something that would change everything. In his 40 years of service, He had learned to trust his instincts. Right now, those instincts were screaming that this mysterious ship represented technology so advanced that it made the mighty Galactic Empire look like children playing with toys. The airlock remained open, waiting patiently for them to accept its silent invitation into the unknown. 3 days had passed since Admiral Hyunwoo sent his emergency report to Imperial Command. 3 days of sleepless nights for Defense Minister. So young as she read and reread the impossible message that had arrived on her secure terminal. So Young had been managing the Empire's military for 15 years. She had dealt with rebellions, alien invasions, and technology thieves. She thought she had seen everything the galaxy could throw at them, but sitting in her office on Zentara Prime, staring at Hyunwoo's report, she felt like a child trying to understand adult problems. 17 ships, she whispered to herself, then called for Fleet Commander Dongmin to join her immediately. When Dongmin arrived, So Young handed him the datapad without saying a word. She watched his face as he read through the report. His expression changed from curiosity to confusion to complete disbelief in the span of 2 minutes. "This has to be a mistake," he said, looking up at her. 17 identical vessels, each over a kilometer long, appearing out of nowhere. Ships that move faster than light without any visible engines? "That's what I thought too," So Young replied. "But look at the sensor data. Look at the recordings. Hyunwoo isn't the type to make up stories." Dongmin sat down heavily in the chair across from her desk. He had been commanding fleets for 25 years. He knew every type of ship in the galaxy, from the tiniest fighter craft to the massive dreadnoughts that could destroy entire planets. What he was reading about shouldn't exist. "Our fastest ships need antimatter cores the size of buildings just to reach half the speed of light," he said slowly. "These things are moving at near light speed instantly. No acceleration time, no energy buildup, nothing. They just go." So Young pressed a button on her desk, and Captain Yunji entered the room. Yunji was their best military analyst, someone who could look at any tactical situation and find weaknesses. If anyone could make sense of this, it would be her. "Captain, I need you to look at this data and tell me what we're dealing with," So Young said, handing over another copy of the report. Yunji took the pad and began reading. Unlike Dongmin, her expression didn't change much as she went through the information. She was used to analyzing strange situations, but when she got to the part about the ship's movement patterns, she stopped reading and looked up. "Minister, can I access the full sensor recordings from Admiral Hyunwoo's ship?" "Of course. Whatever you need." Yoon-ji connected the datapad to the room's main display screen. Suddenly, the entire wall was filled with a 3-dimensional map of space showing 17 mysterious ships arranged in a perfect geometric pattern around a small star system. "Look at this formation," Yoon-ji said, pointing at the display. "Each ship is positioned exactly where it needs to be to create a perfect 3-dimensional grid. The distances between them are identical down to the centimeter. They're spread across millions of kilometers of space, but maintaining precision that our best computers couldn't achieve." Dongmin stood up and walked closer to the display. "How is that possible? Even our most advanced AI systems have trouble coordinating 2 ships in formation, let alone 17 across such distances." "It gets worse," Yoonji continued, manipulating the display to show the ship's movements over time. "Watch what happens when they move." The display showed the 17 ships suddenly changing position, but instead of moving like normal spacecraft, they seemed to simply appear in their new locations. "There's no travel time," So Young observed. "They're in one place, then they're in another place. No journey in between." "Exactly," Yoonji said. "And look at this." She zoomed in on one of the ships. "When our ships change direction, we have to account for momentum. We have to slow down, turn, then speed up again. These ships change direction at full speed without any of the physics that should make it impossible." Dongmin felt sick to his stomach. "Are you telling me these ships don't follow the laws of physics?" "I'm telling you they follow physics. We don't understand," Yoonji replied. "Our ships are bound by the same rules that govern everything in the universe. Mass, energy, momentum, time. These ships seem to operate outside those rules somehow." So Young had been quiet, thinking about the implications. The Galactic Empire had ruled for 1,000 years because they had the best technology. Their ships were faster, their weapons were stronger, their defenses were better than anything else in the galaxy. Species joined the Empire because fighting it was hopeless. But if another species had technology this advanced... "Minister?" Dongmin asked, noticing her silence. "I'm thinking about what this means," she said quietly. "If these ships belong to a hostile species, we're not just facing a military threat, we're facing extinction." Yunji brought up another part of the display. "There's something else. Look at the energy signatures from these ships." The screen showed various colored lines representing different types of energy emissions. Most of the lines were flat. "Our ships generate massive amounts of heat, radiation, and electromagnetic signatures just by existing," Yunji explained. "These ships generate almost nothing. It's like they're not really there." "But they are there," Dongmin said. "Our sensors can see them. They're solid objects." "Yes, but they're not behaving like solid objects should behave. They're not generating the energy signatures that massive ships should generate. It's like they exist but don't exist at the same time." So Young felt a chill run down her spine. In all her years of military service, she had never encountered a problem that seemed to have no solution. Every enemy could be defeated if you understood their technology well enough. Every threat could be countered if you were smart enough and prepared enough. This was different. This was technology so far beyond their understanding that they couldn't even figure out how it worked, let alone how to fight it. "Send word to all sector commanders," she ordered, her voice steady despite her fear. "Full military alert. Every ship we have needs to be ready for deployment, and get me a direct line to the Emperor. He needs to know that we may be facing a threat beyond anything we've ever encountered." As Dongmin and Unji left to carry out her orders, So Young remained alone in her office, staring at the display showing 17 impossible ships arranged in perfect formation. For the first time in her career, she wondered if the mighty Galactic Empire was about to discover that they were no longer the most powerful force in the galaxy. Dr. Sujin had studied alien species for her entire career. She could tell you everything about the bug-like Zentari who built ships from living coral. She knew the secrets of the crystalline Vorthak, who turned their emotions into energy weapons. She had even figured out how the mysterious Shadow Fleet used dark matter to become invisible. But right now, standing in front of Emperor Taehyung in the Grand Imperial Council chambers, she felt completely lost. The Emperor sat on his golden throne, surrounded by the most powerful people in the galaxy. War Minister Hai Wan was there, along with Fleet Commander Dong Min and a dozen other officials who controlled the fate of billions of beings across thousands of worlds. They were all looking at her, waiting for answers she wasn't sure she could give. "Your Majesty," she began, trying to keep her voice steady, "we have made contact with the species responsible for those 17 mysterious vessels. They call themselves humans, and they come from a planet called Earth." Emperor Taehyung leaned forward slightly. He was not a patient man, and the appearance of those impossible ships had kept him awake for days. "What do they want? Are they here to conquer? Us, do they demand our surrender?" Dr. Sujin took a deep breath. This was the part that nobody was going to believe. "Your Majesty, they don't want anything like that. A small transport ship approached our border station yesterday. The pilot requested permission to dock so they could discuss trade agreements." The silence in the council chamber was so complete that Sujin could hear her own heartbeat. Council member Kiwoo was the first to speak. "Trade agreements?" he asked, his voice filled with disbelief. "They demonstrate military technology that makes our entire fleet look like children's toys, and they want to discuss trade." "That's exactly what I thought," Sujin replied. "So I insisted on examining their transport vessel personally before allowing any meetings." War Minister Haiwan shifted in her seat. "And what did you find?" "That's where this gets confusing, Your Majesty. Their ship is primitive. Fusion engines that are barely more advanced than what we were using 300 years ago. Basic deflector shields that couldn't stop a meteorite, let alone a weapon. And their armaments are just simple projectile weapons that fire metal slugs." Fleet Commander Dongmin stood up. "That's impossible. You're telling me the same species that built those 17 super-advanced vessels also built a ship that belongs in a museum?" "I examined every part of that transport personally," Sujin insisted. I brought along our best engineers. We all agreed that their ship is barely capable of interstellar travel. It's the kind of vessel that a species builds when they're just starting to explore space. Emperor Taehyung rubbed his temples. Doctor, are you certain this transport ship belongs to the same species that created those other vessels? That's what I asked them directly, Your Majesty. I spoke with their ambassador, a woman named Subin. She seems like a reasonable person, very polite and eager to establish friendly relations. And what did she say when you asked about their fleet? Dr. Sujin paused, remembering the conversation that had left her more confused than ever. She said they don't have any fleet, Your Majesty. When I told her about the 17 ships we discovered, she looked genuinely puzzled. She insisted that humans don't possess vessels like that. Council member Kiwoo leaned back in his chair. So she's lying. That's what I thought at first, Sujin admitted. But I showed her the recordings from Admiral Hyunwoo's encounter. I let her see the sensor data showing ships that can move faster than anything we've ever built. Ships that can appear and disappear at will. And her reaction? Asked War Minister Haiwan. She was baffled, Your Majesty, completely and utterly confused. She stared at the recordings for almost an hour, asking me to replay certain sections over and over. She kept saying things like, "That's not possible and our ships can't do that." Emperor Taehyung stood up slowly, which made everyone in the chamber pay closer attention. When the emperor stood during a council meeting, it usually meant someone was about to be executed or promoted, and nobody was ever sure which one it would be. Dr. Sujin, he said carefully, are you suggesting that this human ambassador is lying to us? No, Your Majesty. That's what makes this so terrifying. I've been studying alien psychology for 20 years. I can tell when someone is lying, when they're scared, when they're trying to deceive me. This woman was telling the truth. She genuinely doesn't know about those ships. The council chamber erupted in confused murmurs. War Minister Haewon raised her voice above the noise. That doesn't make sense. How can she not know about her own species' military vessels? I asked her that exact question, Sujin replied. She told me that humans are organized into something they call nations, and that she only represents one small group of them. She said it's possible that other human nations have technology she doesn't know about, but she seemed doubtful. Fleet Commander Dongmin was shaking his head. Even if they have different nations, technology like that doesn't just appear overnight. Building ships that advanced would require the resources of an entire planet, maybe several planets. That's what I told her, Sujin said. But she just kept insisting that no human nation has the technology to build vessels like the ones we recorded. She even offered to put me in contact with their military leaders so I could ask them directly. Emperor Taehyung began pacing, which was never a good sign. So we have two possibilities. Either this ambassador is the most skilled liar in galactic history, or the humans have technology so advanced that even they don't fully understand it, Sujin finished quietly. The silence that followed was even more complete than before. Everyone in the chamber was thinking about the implications of what she had just said. If humans had technology that was beyond their own comprehension, what did that mean for the rest of the galaxy? Council member Kiwoo spoke first. Your Majesty, if what Dr. Sujin is saying is true, then we're not dealing with a normal spacefaring civilization. We're dealing with something that has access to technology that even its own people don't understand. War Minister Haiwan's face had gone pale. Which means we have no idea what they're truly capable of. Emperor Taehyung stopped pacing and looked directly at Dr. Sujin. Doctor, in your professional opinion, what should our next step be? Sujin had been dreading this question because she honestly didn't know how to answer it. Your Majesty, I believe we should proceed very carefully with these humans. If they truly don't understand their own capabilities, then they might accidentally do something that could destroy us all. The Emperor nodded slowly. Or something that could save. Ursol, the question is, which one will it be? Ambassador Subin had been looking forward to this meeting for weeks. She was a diplomat, not a soldier, and her job was to make friends with new alien species. The humans had been exploring this part of the galaxy for only a few years, and meeting the Galactic Empire seemed like a wonderful opportunity for trade and cultural exchange. She sat in the comfortable chair across from Imperial negotiator Wu Jin in the neutral meeting station, that floated between their two fleets. The station was designed to make everyone feel safe during first contact situations. Soft lighting, comfortable furniture, and plenty of space for both species to feel relaxed. But Wu Jin didn't look relaxed at all. In fact, he looked like someone had just told him his house was on fire. Commander Ji-hoon, who was sitting beside him, kept glancing nervously at the data pad in his hands. Ambassador Subin, Wu Jin began carefully. We need to discuss the 17 vessels your people have positioned around the Kepler 442 system. Subin looked confused. I'm sorry, what vessels? We only have a few small survey ships in that area. Wu Jin and Ji-hoon exchanged glances. Ji-hoon activated a holographic display that showed the star system in question. 17 massive ships appeared in the projection, each one over a kilometer long, arranged in a perfect geometric pattern. Subin stared at the display for a long moment, her face showing genuine surprise. Oh, those ships, she said, and Wu Jin could see understanding dawning in her eyes, followed by what looked like mild embarrassment. I'm sorry for the confusion. Those aren't military vessels. They're construction units. Wu Jin blinked several times, as if he hadn't heard her correctly. Construction units? Yes, they're automated terraforming platforms built by our artificial intelligence systems about 3 centuries ago. They're preparing that star system for a small agricultural colony we're planning to establish there. Subin paused, noticing that Wu Jin's face was turning pale. Is there a problem? Have we violated some kind of territorial agreement? Commander Ji-hoon had been quiet until now, but he couldn't stay silent any longer. His voice sounded strained when he spoke. Ambassador, these construction units, they move faster than our fastest warships. Subin nodded in the same casual way someone might agree that water is wet. Well, yes, of course they do. They need to transport large amounts of matter quickly when they're reshaping planets, moving asteroids, relocating moons, that sort of thing. Though honestly, those are pretty old models. We've been meaning to upgrade them for decades, but they still do the job well enough. Upgrade them? Wu Jin's voice cracked slightly like a teenager going through puberty. Oh yes, Subin said, warming to the topic. Our newer construction. Models can manipulate quantum structures directly. Much more efficient for large-scale planetary engineering. They can restructure matter at the molecular level, which makes terraforming so much faster. We can turn a dead rock into a garden world in just a few months now. She noticed the stunned silence that had fallen over the room. Both Wu Jin and Ji-hoon were staring at her with expressions that looked like a mixture of terror and disbelief. You seem upset, she said, genuinely concerned. Have we done something wrong? Ji-hoon was the first to find his voice. Ambassador, when you say these construction units can move large amounts of matter, how large are we talking about? Subin thought for a moment. Well, the older models, like the ones you detected, can relocate objects up to about the size of your average moon. The newer ones can handle much larger masses. We moved an entire gas giant last year to improve the orbital mechanics of a system we were developing. You moved a gas giant, Wu Jin repeated slowly, as if saying the words might help him understand them. It was just a small one, Subin said apologetically. Only about twice the size of Jupiter. The colonists wanted better seasonal patterns on their new world, so we adjusted the system's gravitational balance. Commander Ji-hoon looked down at his data pad, then back up at Subin. Our most powerful ships can barely move asteroids, and that requires our entire fleet working together. Really? Subin asked, looking surprised. That's interesting. What kind of power systems do you use? Antimatter cores, Ji-hoon replied. They're the most advanced energy source we've ever developed. Subin nodded politely. Antimatter is a good starting point. We used that for a while too, back when we were first learning about energy manipulation. But it's terribly inefficient for large-scale projects. Inefficient? Wu Jin's voice was barely a whisper. Oh yes, you can only get so much energy out of matter-antimatter reactions. Our current systems tap directly into zero-point energy fields, much cleaner, and the power output is essentially unlimited. Both Imperial officers were now staring at her with the kind of expression people get when they witness something that breaks their understanding of reality. Ambassador, Ji-hoon said carefully, when you say unlimited power, well, not truly. Unlimited, Subin corrected herself. "But more power than we could ever realistically use. Our biggest construction projects only require a tiny fraction of what our systems can produce." Wu Jin was having trouble breathing normally. "And these are just your construction tools?" "That's right, we use much simpler technology for most other things. Our transport ships, like the one I came here in, still use fusion engines because they're reliable, and we don't need anything more powerful for normal travel." The silence stretched on for almost a full minute. Subin began to worry that she had somehow offended her new friends. "I hope I haven't said anything inappropriate," she said. "Different species develop technology in different ways. There's nothing wrong with using antimatter cores, they're very reliable." Commander Ji Hoon and negotiator Wu Jin exchanged a look that contained an entire conversation. If humanity's obsolete construction equipment could outperform their most advanced military vessels, what did that say about their actual military capabilities? "Ambassador," Wu Jin finally managed to say, "what kind of technology do your people use for defensive purposes?" Subin looked puzzled by the question. "Defensive purposes? We don't really have much need for military technology. We've never encountered a hostile species before meeting you, and you seem very friendly." "But surely you must have some kind of weapons," Ji Hoon pressed. "Oh, we have some basic defensive systems on our exploration ships," Subin said. "Nothing too advanced. Most of our AI systems are focused on construction and terraforming, though I suppose they could be repurposed if we ever needed them for something else." The terrifying implication hung in the air between them. If humanity could casually move gas giants with their construction equipment, what could they do if they actually tried to build weapons? Neither Imperial officer wanted to find out. Emperor Taehyung had ruled the Galactic Empire for 37 years. He had conquered rebellious planets, negotiated with dangerous alien species, and commanded fleets that could destroy entire star systems. He had never backed down from a fight, never shown weakness in front of his enemies, and never doubted that his empire was the most powerful force in the galaxy. Today, standing before the assembled Galactic Council in the Grand Chamber that had seen 1,000 years of imperial dominance, he was about to do something no emperor had ever done before. He was going to admit that the empire was no longer the strongest power in the universe. The council chamber was packed. Representatives from every sector, every major species, and every important military command had gathered for this emergency session. Word had spread throughout the empire about the mysterious human ships, and everyone wanted to know what the emperor planned to do about this new threat. "Fellow leaders," Emperor Taehyung began, his voice carrying the weight of history, "we must face a new reality. The age of the Galactic Empire as we have known it has ended." The silence that followed was deafening. Some council members looked shocked, others looked confused, and a few looked terrified. Sector Governor Young Ho was the first to find his voice. "Your Majesty, surely we can negotiate some form of accommodation with these humans. Perhaps we can find a way to coexist." Emperor Taehyung nodded slowly. "We already have, Governor." "Ambassador, Subin has been most gracious in her dealings with us. The humans have agreed to establish formal diplomatic relations and share certain basic technologies with our empire." Director Hye Jin of Imperial Sciences stood up from her seat. She had been working with the human technology samples for the past 2 weeks, and the results had shaken her to her core. "Your Majesty," she said, "I need the Council to understand what we're dealing with. The humans shared what they called basic fusion optimization techniques with our engineering teams. Basic techniques. These improvements alone have increased our engine efficiency by 300%. Our ships can now travel twice as fast as they could a month ago, using half the fuel." Murmurs of amazement rippled through the chamber. 300% efficiency increase from basic techniques? What could their advanced technology do? Chief Medical Officer Sung Min raised his hand to speak. "Your Majesty, the medical applications are even more remarkable. The humans provided us with what they called simple medical nanobots to help with our diplomatic health protocols. These nanobots have eliminated 17 diseases that have plagued our species for thousands of years. Diseases our best doctors said were incurable." The murmurs grew louder. Sector Governor Young Ho looked stunned. They cured 17 incurable diseases with simple nanobots. That's not even the most impressive part, Director Hai-Jin continued. When I asked Ambassador Su-bin about these technologies, she seemed surprised that we found them remarkable. She said they were just basic applications that every human child learns in school. Emperor Taehyung raised his hand for silence. This brings me to the most important point of today's meeting. The humans seem genuinely interested only in peaceful expansion and scientific exchange. They appear to be completely unaware of how their casual capabilities terrify us. He paused, looking around the chamber at faces that reflected his own mixture of relief and existential dread. Fleet Commander Dongmin spoke up from his position near the front of the chamber. Your Majesty, what about their military capabilities? Those 17 ships could destroy our entire fleet. According to Ambassador Su-bin, those weren't even military vessels, the Emperor replied. They were construction equipment. Old construction equipment that they've been meaning to upgrade because it's not efficient enough for their current projects. The silence that followed was so complete that everyone could hear the ventilation systems humming in the walls. War Minister He Won stood up slowly. Your Majesty, if their old construction equipment outclasses our military fleet, what does that say about their actual weapons? That's exactly the question that has kept me awake for the past 2 weeks, Emperor Taehyung admitted. But here's the thing that gives me hope. When I asked Ambassador Su-bin about their military technology, she looked confused. She said humans don't really have much need for weapons because they've never encountered a hostile species before. Before meeting us, Sector Governor Young-ho added quietly. Exactly. Which means our response to this situation will determine whether humanity sees us as friends or as threats. And I think we all agree that we don't want to be seen as threats by beings who can move gas giants as a hobby project. Director Hai-Jin nodded emphatically. Your Majesty, Ambassador Su-bin mentioned that they moved an entire gas giant last year to improve the weather patterns on one of their colony worlds. They moved a gas giant to improve the weather. The implications of that statement hit everyone in the chamber at the same time. If humans could casually relocate planets, what couldn't they do? Emperor Taehyung took a deep breath. This is why I have made a decision that will change the structure of our government forever. We will restructure the empire as a galactic federation. We will invite the humans to join as equal partners, not as subjects or allies, but as equals. Several council members started to object, but the Emperor held up his hand. We will learn from our new human neighbors. We will benefit from their technology and their knowledge, and perhaps most importantly, we will never again assume that technological superiority guarantees our security. Chief Medical Officer Sung-min raised his hand. Your Majesty, what if other species in the galaxy react poorly to this change? What if they see it as weakness? Then they will make the same mistake we almost made, the Emperor replied. They will assume that because humans seem peaceful and friendly, they must be weak. And they will learn, as we have learned, that the most dangerous civilizations are often those that don't realize how dangerous they are. Over the following months, the transformation of the Galactic Empire into the Galactic Federation proceeded smoothly. The humans were delighted to join, though they seemed puzzled by all the ceremony and formal procedures. Ambassador Su-bin kept asking why everyone was being so formal when they were just neighbors trying to get along. Human engineers worked alongside Imperial scientists, casually solving problems that had stumped entire research teams for centuries. Human doctors shared medical techniques that eliminated suffering on a galactic scale. Human terraforming experts helped turn dead worlds into gardens in a fraction of the time it had taken before. And through it all, the humans remained blissfully unaware of how their casual capabilities had fundamentally changed the balance of power in the galaxy. They continued their quiet expansion, establishing peaceful colonies and making friends with every species they encountered. The galaxy learned an important lesson. The most terrifying civilizations were often those that didn't realize how terrifying they were. And sometimes, if you were very lucky, those same civilizations turned out to be the kindest neighbors you could ever hope to meet. Humanity continued exploring the stars, solving ancient problems with casual efficiency while their bemused diplomats wondered why everyone seemed so nervous around them, and the galaxy became a better place because of it.